my god, I am not excited for this at all. So I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. I'm fixing the rear subframe. As you can tell, I'm just absolutely thrilled to be doing this. But that's how life works. You gotta, like, you know, make lemonade or whatever the hell. So, first thing I'm going to need here is a light. Now that I have those, we got to get into the car and we got to start heating everything up with the map torch. Get it as hot as I can so it's as malleable as it can be for the equipment that I have. Then once it's nice and spicy, we can just beat the ever-living hell out of it to try and get it back into a straight position, and then start measuring the right side so we can use those measurements on the left side. Once everything is back in shape, then I can start grinding it all down and welding it all back together. Oh my god, there's literally like 0% of me that wants to do this right now. This sucks so much. What the fuck? Jesus. We're off to a good start. I'm going to go straight from here and hold it straight to here. That's going to be the first measurement that I need. This is going to be the second. Okay, so just holding this right across here. The outside piece right here is 5.5. And then right here on the outside is 8.5. So that's where I got to start. That's 6. So this has to go 1/2 inch in. And this one right here is 9 3/4. That has to go in 1 1/4 inches. Okay, that's going to be interesting. I'll start getting this kind of bent back into shape. Doing this side first will also give me better access to grind in here so I can weld all of this back into place and get good penetration on both sides while still having room to actually like grind it all down to make sure it's like smooth. So, first step, torch. Gotta get this thing spicy. Now I'm heating up in this upper section right here. It'll fold from like that heat stress line and it'll pull forward from there. I'll just come back when I'm ready to start beating on this thing. It only lit on fire a few times, so we're fine. We are 5 3/4. About 5.5. But this centerpiece here is still bent in. So I'm going to attach vice grips here so I can pull it. Wow, I can feel the heat off that. So I can pull this center section forward, and then I'll bend this one back, so that way I can straighten this piece out. Now I might be able to just do this by hand, because it's so spicy. There we go. Try and bend this back while holding this in place. Ow, my finger. So if we actually look straight on, I don't know how good you're going to be able to see this, but this section right here actually has a slight tilt toward the front of the vehicle. So this section here goes forward, this section here comes toward the back. So that way it still lines up. So this spacing is the same all the way across, because right now you can see that this is going straight. So if I were to finish, it's going to be completely straight. So I got to start working on this piece right here. Wow, I can really feel how hot that is. This corner right here needs to go toward the front of the car, which is going to pull this whole corner in more, and then I can bend that back and start joining it up. Then I'll clean it up with the wire wheel, throw a couple tacks in just to kind of hold it in place, and then from there I can start actually working the metal back into place piece by piece. So right now is just the really big adjustments to get it roughly where it needs to be, and then after that is the fine adjustments to make sure it's perfect. But I mean, this is all the exact same process, so I'm just going to show you once I have this corner done, just before I start bending this one in. Just on the edge, so it should be easy to do by hand. Here, let's get that over a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. The biggest thing was getting the curvature back into shape, so that's good. Okay, so now this should be good. Gonna give it a couple. Spicy! Oh my god. Woo! That was almost a problem. Okay, well, that came off pretty easy. And that almost burnt the living shit out of me. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this all cool down. I'm going to start using the wire wheel to clean up all of the surface stress that's around here. And then I guess I'm going to be holding that in place and just tack it in. Well, I was going to use the angle grinder because it'll make life a lot easier. But that thing's kind of like wielding a beast. And with how confined this area is, that's going to suck if it grabs something. So I'm just going to clean all of the surface rust off. Okay, that's alright. At least the parts that I gotta weld are good. So, yeah, I just gotta let this cool down. I'll just tack it in place. Actually, I gotta disconnect the battery first. Then I can tack it in place. So not like it really matters because this battery is pretty done anyway. But with this being connected, has the possibility that power from the welder could get into the ECU and fry everything. I'm gonna have to like bring this in the house anyway, so I might as well get it all disconnected and stuff. I have to take the camera off my head because I'm welding, so I'm gonna use my phone for this. Get those sick weld shots of how shitty I am. So let's clamp this onto that. Sure, that looks good. Okay, so it goes in here. I gotta figure out how the hell I'm gonna bend this back into shape. Oh my god, this is gonna suck. Okay, so I'm probably gonna do a tack somewhere. And then I'm gonna start hammering, and then tack and hammer, and tack and hammer, and tack and hammer, and continue. And I'm just gonna keep doing that, and hopefully this is gonna work. That bend right there is gonna suck. Oh my god. Ah, Jesus. Why does the subframe have to be so hard to change? God. Oh my god, this is gonna suck so bad. This whole section right here has to come out. So I'm actually going to try and bend that first with vice grips, and I'm going to try and get it to like line up somewhat good, because like this is going to fucking suck. Oh my god. What way does this go again? Like this. Oh, good. I mean, that lines up, so I could tack that back into place and then start molding it back up from there. That might work, because there is a significant bend here, so it might be easier to have it affixed to this side first, and then start molding in the back corner. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but like this has to go like in here. That whole gap right there, that has to come out of this piece. So this is going to suck. Oh my god, this stupid little shitty tripod is gonna be the fucking end of me, I swear to god. So the phone fell over, and when I was putting it back up, trying to have some kind of like weight ballast on this stupid goddamn fucking tripod, the screen turned off. So then when I was trying to unlock the screen, it fucking locked me out of my goddamn phone for 30 seconds. Okay, so I got a wrench on there, holding this. Great. Awesome. Okay, now just don't move. This is what I'm talking about in all the other videos, because like I'm trying to get shit done, because this is stuff that like I have to do so my life progresses, and I gotta deal with stupid stuff like this all the time. Okay, so that's bent back, so now I have room to actually like get this in there and start lining this up. So we'll go in right about there, and now I can tack that in place. This absolutely fucking sucked. Oh my god. Okay, so this literally took so long to get this stupid thing lined up that it's actually cold and I can just hold it now. Okay, so something like this right about there. Okay, that's lined up perfect. Nobody breathe. Ah, god damn it, I moved. All I need is one tack, and then it'll hold in place. Come on. Okay, I cannot deal with those gloves anymore. Spicy. Couple little persuasion taps. Good. Now I can just like stitch weld that in, just so I can keep like doing like a tack, and then I'll move some pieces, like hammer it back straight, and then a tack, and then hammer and back and forth. So I'll do another tack here, just in the sense of making things interesting. We'll do like slow motion, so that way you can like really see me getting burned through an extended amount of time. Was that cool? Did that make me look cool? Short story long here is I'm just gonna keep doing like stitch welds. So I'll do another one up here, another one down here. That'll be good. I gotta start straightening this section out right here, and then I'll start stitching down from there. Just make one clean weld all the way across, make sure there's good penetration all the way to the other side. And then I can just start hammering all of this back into shape. So I can attach this piece here back to this portion of the subframe. So I'm just gonna keep back at this, and then I'll show you the kind of like completed glob of like disgusting that I put together. So I wouldn't be working on a Volkswagen without gassing myself out. But that is the fucking nightmare that I created. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to grind all that down, do more shaping tomorrow, heat it up, hammer, blah blah blah. You know the drill. But it is smoky in here. I'm probably gonna die, so I'm calling it for tonight. And the fun of movie magic, you know, it'll be tomorrow. Oh my god, it's freezing today. More snow. So I kind of cleaned up a little bit, just like moved some stuff around or whatever. Basically just procrastinating this entire project because I don't want to do it anymore. Probably in my best interest just to get back at it. I just realized I forgot the lights. I also noticed that that one light flickers like crazy, but I guess I'm going to go grab the other one and then I'll start yelling at this thing. Then I'm going to have to shovel off at myself is seeming like a much better idea at this point. Where did I leave off? Man, doing YouTube as a job fucking sucks. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like, it's awesome because I get to do whatever I want. And then I just make videos of it and I make money. But on this channel, I don't make anything. So I'm doing all of this for absolutely nothing. Like, it's fun. Like, I enjoy doing it. So, like, I get, like, the relaxation sense of making the videos and editing. And it's just fun in that sense. But I don't know, man. My brain is just at the point where, like, I just want to give up on this and just finish the cars. Just do it without the stupid camera on my head, without having to edit anything, and just get it done as fast as possible. Get the cars out, and then just go back to work. Cause, like, at least having, like, a 9-to-5 job sucks, but it sucks consistently. Doing YouTube from home, oh my god, it's like a whole other level of stress. Because you're always at work. You never get to leave work. Your house is your work. Like, I don't even play on my computer anymore because my computer has become the entire tech channel, so it's always work. I don't know. I'm just ranting at this point because my life fucking sucks right now. But hopefully when this car's done, you know, it'll suck a little bit less and then I can start something else that's just gonna make me hate my life all over again. Enough procrastinating. Let's look at what kind of fucking monster I created the other day. Let's see what we're looking at here. Oh, my eyes. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Man, this is just terrifying. Oh my god, man. Like, there's a point when I should just cut my losses, and I think I've gone well past that point. Like, it's just such a huge job to change the entire subframe. And in my head, I'm just thinking, like, oh, I only gotta fix this one spot if I can just remanufacture it back into shape. I guess just looking at it, this part over here, it does actually have a slope that comes down toward the outside. So this part right here, this actually isn't stretched. So this is still good. So the metal was so cold that it was a clean break. It didn't stretch and then break. So at least I know that the integrity of this steel itself is still there. So that's a plus. And the welds are going to be stronger than the steel. So really, at this point, I think all I have to do is just start, like, shaping this area right here so it's completely flat. So I'll get, like, torches, heat it all up so it's, like, stupid hot again. And I'll start getting punches. I'll try and go through here to try and start pressing this back forward. And I'll do the same thing from the other side to get this part right here. So I can flatten this out, because right now it's kind of pressed like this. So if I can flatten it out, then grind this surface down completely smooth, then at that point I think that's pretty much good. And then right here it just has to get bent in just a tiny little bit, because you can see that the ridge right here kind of has like a little bit of a tilt to it. It's supposed to be straight. On paper, sounds really easy. I just gotta knock this in, knock that out, knock this in, grind this flat, make sure that's straight. That's going to be for the cam washer that's used for the camber adjustment. So these two things right here do have to be straight, because the washer is going to be pushing off of those two. Well, that's the camber adjustment. So I got to make sure that's good. That's essentially like what I'm fixing here and what I'm trying to make sure is perfectly straight. But aside from this looking like a goddamn fucking horror movie, I think it's actually turning out pretty good. So, like I said, torch, punch, hammer, yell, cry, contemplate my life, and there's not a single fucking ounce in my body that is gonna do this with this goddamn camera on my head, because this is gonna fucking suck. I'll just, like, start with it, record that part, and then when I'm ready to, like, completely off myself, I'll remove the camera so that way I can get it done. So, it's time for the spicy bits. Alright. Oh my god, it's so cold. The snow is coming in through the chimney from the old furnace. It's literally snowing in here. This is still one of the greatest Amazon Basic purchases I've made. Knocking this forward and then knocking this toward the back. Okay, now from the other side. Oh my god, I'm fucking sick. Oh, the camera's gone. Oh my god, I can't fit my hand at all. This is so fucking stupid. Camera's falling off. Okay. This fucking sucks. Oh good, camera's gone. I have no idea where the camera's pointed now, but this is working. So that's good. Ow. Okay. Yeah. This is actually coming out pretty good. It's still like an immense amount of work. Like, I'm going to be at this for like an hour, 2 hours just to make sure that these are perfectly straight, because the alignment is dependent on that, as well as the angle of these two flanges here. So, like, this is going to suck, but I'm going to keep at this, and then I'll just come back when I'm grinding it down so that we can actually start seeing the shape of the final product. So I started grinding it down. I was using a grinding disc on the angle grinder and then a cutoff wheel on the rotary tool. Now I have it pretty straight right now, but I did notice that right here, it's a little bit low, And from where I was grinding, this metal right here is actually just a little bit thin. So what I'm going to do for this part here is I'm actually going to put a couple tacks right across this area here to bring that up so it's the same level as this. And that's also going to thicken the amount of metal in between it so then it's the same consistent amount all the way across. So right here, I have to build up a few more tacks. Now, on this side here, so you can see right where it needs to be built up a little bit because the metal's so thin. So I'll add a couple of tacks right there. And then right here needs to be ground down a little bit more because this is supposed to be perfectly straight. But this is purely cosmetic. It doesn't matter at this point because the cam washer goes on the other side, which is straight. I just want it to be a little bit more respectable than it is now. And then right here, you can see the little drop. This is where it needs to be built up. So all in here. So right here, I just got to add a few more tacks. Right here, it needs to be brought down so that way this goes perfectly straight across. Then right here, it needs to be built up and then all the way over to here. So I'll just add a couple tacks and just kind of stitch weld this in to build it up because this is going to be way too tight for me to be able to get the punch on this side so I can hammer that back out. And considering the washer and everything goes on the other side, it really doesn't matter. So the more metal that I add, the more structure that it has. And this is purely cosmetics for absolutely no reason. Like, this is just because I can't do things half-assed. I mean, like, as half-assed as this is, like, I just can't leave it like this. Even though if I added a couple tacks right here and then ground it down completely smooth, this would be 100% fine. Like, we could put a control arm on and we could drive it, maybe clean up in here a little bit more so it's like completely round, but when it really comes down to it, the structure is only on the top and the bottom because the cam washer pushes the bolt side to side, so the ends don't actually matter at all. It's only the top and the bottom that take the load. And then the cam washer pushes off of these areas right here, which on the other side, it's perfectly straight now. I just built up too much weld on this side, so I want to grind it down. So I want it to be like somewhat nice, but I mean, it's obviously not going to be perfect, but I just want it to look less like this complete train wreck that I have right now. Everything will be done and it's just ready to get like the final movement back into position. So that way everything is at the right angle with the rest of the car to match this one. So that way the alignment can actually be correct. And then once that's good, I just have to smack this thing back straight to where it needs to be because there's nothing wrong with this side here. It's just bent out of place. So I just got to bend it back once this is all fixed. So realistically, this is actually going pretty good. Even though, like, start to finish on this entire thing, I think I'm probably around, like, 12 plus man hours actually working on this. So what you're seeing is just a fraction of what's actually going down into this entire process because it's like a few tacks, grind them down, a few more tacks, grind them down, and then it's just continuous going over and over from, like, the last thing that you've seen. Like, just to put this into perspective, the last thing that you've seen was a day ago. And I worked on this for probably 6 hours that day. And now today, I don't even know what time it is right now, but it feels like it's probably been around like 4 hours that I've been screwing around with this. A few tacks, grinding them down, checking where it is, adding a few more tacks. And then it's just constant back and forth. And I can't wait for this to be over. Like, this fucking sucks. But it's less work than changing the entire subframe. So there's that. I don't know. I'm just going to keep at this and then I'll just like show you what I have at the end so you can see how it came out because like you get the process. It's a tack, grind it down, add a few more, grind it down. And it's just continuous back and forth over and over and over building up the exact shape that I need now that like the structure is actually fixed. Now it's mostly just like cosmetic and a little bit more structure to make sure everything is good. And then I'll do like the final hammering and measuring and everything. And then I'll just show you like the final product that I have of the alignment compared to the right side. So you can see how it's fitting from there. And then the overall shape that I ended up coming up with at the end of all of this like chaotic work. Every part of this sucked. I got the whole thing all hammered back into shape and everything. Finished up the welding and grinding, so it almost looks like it didn't happen. I'm right under here. You can see that on this side of it, 3.5 inches. And this side right here, 3.5 inches. Come on this side, 3.25. And right here, 3.25. The internal diameter, 2.5. And the internal diameter, well, you can't really see it, but it's 2.5. Everything lines up perfect. So all that's left is like the finishing touches. So I gotta like file down rough edges and everything with that spicy. I'm gonna get a drill bit to go straight through here to recut those holes over there. It's absolutely sucked. But the whole objective here is to demonstrate that if you buy a salvage car, is it worth fixing yourself? Now this right here absolutely sucked, but the amount of work to change the subframe was significantly more. Not necessarily in the sense of like the actual time spent with labor, because like this sucked. Like realistically, I think I'm like over 20 hours in labor now, just fixing this. But it was a lot cheaper because I'm still on one spool of welding wire. I've used almost an entire grinding disc. That's the second one that I put on there because it was a little bit bigger, but the one that was there is like almost finished. I used 6 cutoff discs for a rotary tool, and I'm just going to attack the rest with a hand file. And then I used a 2.5 pound sledgehammer and an 8 pound sledgehammer to kind of get them back into shape. Then I just used a ball peen hammer toward the metal, and I was hitting that with the 2.5 pound to get like direct blows on specific areas to straighten it out. So the snow is continuing. This absolutely sucks. I'm already exhausted because I had to shovel that for like an hour. Then I've been out here working on this for probably another 6 hours. But again, like the objective is it worth buying a salvage car? Well, it's gonna take a lot of work. That goes without saying. Fixing the entire subframe up to this point hasn't even cost $100 Canadian versus around $400 for a used rear subframe and then disassembling the entire back of the car to install it. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of like 50-50. Like if you're gonna replace it, then it's worth it. But if you're trying to do it as cheap as possible and you really like don't care about how long it's actually gonna take, then I guess it was kind of a fun project. Like it absolutely sucked, but if I had a hoist or something, or at least jack stands that went up to like 2 feet so I could at least like roll over under the car without getting grease all over my jacket. Like this is already a sacrificial jacket, like I use it for welding and everything, so it's totaled anyway, but like I'm just cold, wet, miserable. Like it just sucked doing it in this kind of environment. If you had more height under the car, then absolutely worth it. It actually could have been like a kind of fun project doing it like that. It also would have taken probably half of the time. So I'm gonna finish cleaning this up and then I'll just show you what it looks like at the end, because like I am getting absolutely sick of trying to make these videos and get this whole thing done. I like at this point I just want it done. Like I'm so sick of this. So we'll just get to that point when we get there. In a different video, when I was cleaning this up, I only cleaned up one of the washers because the other one was still just completely fine. But the way this works is there's like this little hex right here on the inside, and that locks into this washer. However, this washer, which is the one that I didn't show, it just has a little ear, and that goes into this relief. So when you put that in, that holds both washers at the same position. So that way, when you're doing the alignment and actually adjusting the camber, these both sit at the same position, and then that oval hole determines how far over the alignment actually is. So if I wanted more negative camber, I can turn this one clockwise, so that'll push on the cam washers, which pushes on like those 2 raised areas that I was trying to fix, and that pushes the control arm out further, which will push the bottom of the wheel out for more negative camber. Then once it's set, you tighten the nut. To have a proper alignment, like a normal person, then you would adjust it somewhere in a tolerable range. So I just wanted to show how this works, because I didn't have this washer in the last video because it wasn't bent or anything, so there was nothing that I had to fix on it, so I just left it out. But I do have both of them, that's how it works. So I'm just going to clean up that hole with a file so this bolt will fit back in appropriately, and then after it's all painted and everything, I can toss this back in. It is goddamn freezing today. I have a little portable heater thing or whatever under there, and you know, that's thinking about doing something. But I finished spraying it down with epoxy paint, so that way it's like really thick and it'll bond right to the bare metal. That should help it be rust proof for most of the future. Now it's gonna be kind of hard to see because I didn't bring a light, but like the epoxy coating is still wet, so it's gonna take a while for it to cure. But like, I don't know, I think that's pretty good considering that I just kind of like hacked this thing together. It's definitely the strongest piece of the entire subframe, so that's good. And once all of this paint is cured, I can toss that bolt back in. And I already screwed around before with the cam washers just to make sure that it was actually gonna like fit and work correctly, and it does. I just get to play the waiting game of about 12 hours for this to cure, probably longer because it's just sitting here with this little electric furnace thing. But it's early in the day, so here's hoping that by the time I'm wrapping everything up for the night, that'll be dry. I can toss that bolt back in, and theoretically that thing's done. And I'm just waiting for the new control arm to show up, which is already ordered. So that should be here relatively soon, I guess. As soon as it's dry and I toss the bolt back in, just so I don't lose it, I'm back into shipping purgatory. So I'm gonna have to finish up some of the other smaller jobs while I'm waiting for the parts to finish the rear end and everything. It is like a goddamn hurricane today. It's so windy. Here's the new control arm. I can toss this on. And now when putting this in, I'm gonna need all the pieces for the suspension. Here's the adjustment collar, the spring, which has seen better days. Jesus. That right there is 2 years in Canada. Ridiculous. I mean, like, the spring is actually fine. It's just all surface rust. You can see it comes right off of my gloves. But, like, Jesus. Now we're putting this in. The spring has a flat spot right here. And that's going to be for this collar, which goes in. And the rubber piece has this little stop, which is going to link up right here with this. The little rubber piece right there is just going to butt up against the spring. This little protrusion just goes in the hole, which is going to go right in here. This little collar for adjusting the ride height is going to go right on there. So the first thing we're going to do is take this bushing side here and put it into the repaired subframe. We're just going to have it sitting there loose so we can pivot up and down. And then we're going to take the spring assembly, put it in, use a floor jack to push this up into place, and then get the bolt in through the bottom of the knuckle. And then once everything is loosely in place, we're going to have to either put pressure on both sides so that way the weight of the vehicle is on the suspension loading it up, or I'm going to have to put the wheels on and then chalk the wheels up so I have room to get under here. Because they need to be tightened where the car is going to sit. So if I have them all hanging down like it is right now and I tighten those up, that bushing is now going to be stuck in that position. So when the car sits at its normal ride height, that bushing isn't going to move and it's going to be twisting inside, and that's going to cause premature bushing failure. So right now we just have to get it in here all loose. Then we can start actually like tightening everything and doing the alignment, whatever. Now these bolts are going to go toward the car because the muffler is going to go here. So we can't have the end of it sticking out. The bolt is going in this direction. As for the washer, we want the one with the hex on it. That's going to go on the bolt side. And then the washer with the key, that's going to go on the bolt itself right in that keyway. But we're going to have to make sure that these washers line up because this one can go in any position, and then those aren't going to be lined up. And this can just go in here. So you can start getting this in here. Oh, fuck. Ah, God damn it. Oh. Let's line this up somehow. Why does nothing work? I'm going to fucking kill myself. So now that's in all the way through, and the washer is pointed straight up. So let's hope that's where the other one goes. Otherwise I gotta take this back out and recorrect this washer. And that can just go in there. Oh my God, it actually worked. Okay, so now both washers are on in the correct orientation. Where did I put the nut? Oh, my eyes. Oh my God. Okay, let's just try and figure it out. Fuck that. Ah, fucking Christ. So the nut can go on the back. So now those are both in. Everything there's fine. Now I just have to attach this to here and put all the suspension in. So we're gonna need a floor jack for this. Now, on the plus side, these are all 18s. Now you can get the super sketchy jack. That's totally not gonna try and kill us. So that right there is gonna be perfect. So now let's get this in here. So the hole's on the front side. Now we can grab the collar, put that in place. And now, this can just go up to here. And then the jack, oh my God, of course, come on, get out of the way. Go right here, and we are just going to, oh my God, jack this up. There. Okay, now we just need to like slide this forward. It's going up when I push it, so let's go up a little bit more. Yeah, like that. Right through there. Come on, get in the hole, you bitch. That's in now. I can put the nut on. There we are. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to add load to the suspension while still keeping like the same height that I'm at, so like my fat ass can still get underneath the car. I think my only option is going to be to put the wheels on and then just stack tons of wood underneath the wheel. Because my jack stands are already as high as they go, and that's on the frame. So as soon as it goes onto the suspension, it's going to sag down, and the car is going to come lower. So I'm going to lose a lot of height underneath the car, and I barely fit as it is. So let's see if we can get like a visual inspection of where we are. Oh my God, this one has a lot of camber. So that's going to have to go in a fair amount. You can visibly see the amount of camber that one has. Let's go from this side here. That wheel's pretty good. Go over here. Oh my God. Like, the suspension doesn't have any load on it, and it has negative camber. That wheel's gonna be sideways if I put it down. Okay, I'm gonna take a break and just try and like look through stuff and find something to lift this with. Because I don't have like something to do alignments. Like, they've always just been like, I just need the car to drive to an alignment shop. But this isn't my car now. So now I have to do like an acceptable job. I can't put someone else in danger if I don't do this to my best ability. Stuff like this on the side, it's kind of fun, just hobby stuff or whatever, but like doing it professionally, I can't do it anymore. It's just way too much for me. So I'm gonna continue being Canadian this winter wasteland. I'm gonna try and figure something out in this friggin' like mock Jesus hurricane that we're having, and hopefully I'll figure something out. So I've been working on this for, I don't know, an hour, and I didn't finish the stands. Kind of like ran out of wood, at least like pieces I didn't have to disassemble. So what I did was I put one here, the one that was finished. Well, finished. Don't do what I'm doing here, but I put a 2x4 going lengthwise with like the tire, and then I jacked it up from there. And then I just made sure that the height between the suspension was the same. So that way they're both sitting at the exact same height, so there's no uneven weight of the car, and then the front is still on jack stands. So that's good enough. And because I didn't like actually finish this, I still wanted to put some of that Lexan, and I wanted to make like a top so it's not like grippy. And then I would have the ability to like move just by twisting the wrenches and everything. And then like pivoting off of that cam washer, that will be enough to push it. But because I didn't actually finish it, it's just like two pieces of 2x4. So it still has a lot of grip to it. So I had to jack it up, tweak it a bit, put it back down, jack that tire back up, see how it is. And then it was back and forth for like an hour. I decided that I'm just going to save you all the time of just watching me struggle with that for like literally an hour. And I pretty much have it like dialed in. Like, it's like exactly, it's gonna be hard to see. Like, the camber on this side is like exactly the same as it is on this side. I got it dialed in as close as I could get. I tried measuring off of the tire just on each side of this, so that way I kind of had like a reference point from the groove in the tread here right up against the 2x4s all the way across. And I just took 2 measurements to make sure that like I was getting like an even spacing on both sides. Like, it still has a little bit less in the front because there is some toe in on the rear of these, but I feel like it's pretty fairly dialed in. So now I just have to torque everything in place. Easy enough, 18 mil. And for the torque spec, it's gonna be 90 Newton meters or like 70-ish foot-pounds, somewhere around there. Like, it's not exact. Like, I'm pretty sure the actual torque spec is like 80 Newton meters and then a 90-degree turn. Usually you try and go like somewhere around like 90, 95 Newton meters, which is like almost 67 foot-pounds to 70 foot-pounds. So I'm just gonna do 70 foot-pounds. And you can even see, well, I mean, like, you probably can't see because it's so dark, but the bolt goes in this lower corner and the washer is pushing up here, so it's almost on a 45-degree angle pointed towards the bottom. And right here, it's pretty much the exact same angle. So even like the repairs that I did here, it still ended up like within a factory tolerance, so that with the alignment as close as I could get it, the bolt is even sitting in almost the exact same position. So I don't know, I'm content with how this came out. And because the suspension is currently loaded, I can torque it with where it wants to sit. So that's good. And then torque the bushing that I reinstalled over there. And then this is done. I can put the exhaust back on and everything. But you can clearly see that there's more work to do. Mostly because I'm going to leave the car up. Like, I'm just going to put the jack stands back under there and then just kind of like take the load off the suspension so it can just sit in its place. There's the whole rad support that has to go on, RS3 side skirts, and like, oh God, there's more I'm going to get into with that. Like, that sucks. So there's going to be like its whole dedicated video on that. And there's the new RS3 bumper that has to go on and everything, and then just like button it back up. So realistically, not a huge amount of work left. And like, it's actually starting to get nice again. Like, the garage completely flooded because all of the snow outside melted. And the garage is level horizontally, but from the back to the front it has a slope, so everything will like go outside, but the water level raised so much that the water exceeded past the back of the A3. Like, you can still see this line in the floor right here. That's where the water level was. So I think this is pretty much where I'm going to wrap the video up, because like, as far as this goes, it's done. I have to do bearings anyway, so I'm going to torque that other bolt when I'm in there doing the bearing. So there's really no point taking the wheel off, so I can torque that bolt and then putting the wheel back on so you can see what it looks like. Because, and like, with the whole like garage flooding or whatever, it's getting super nice out. Like, I don't know if the dynamic range will like show outside, but there's no more snow left in the yard and everything. It's all gone. I don't know. This sucks, but like, again, this whole project is, if you can't afford one of these and you buy one as salvage, is it going to be worthwhile to fix it yourself? It's been so long just kind of like juggling parts around and everything. I don't like know the cost of where I'm at so far, so I'll just like put it up on the screen so that way you can see how much this whole project so far has cost, because the totals aren't going to be reflected until the parts go on the car. And that being said, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, or don't do any of it. I'm not telling you what to do.